Good morning and welcome to Unity Spiritual Center. We welcome you here again. My name is Nick Humphrey. I'm the spiritual leader here at Unity Spiritual Center of Greater Houston. We welcome you to another virtual service given here at our church, and we welcome you here. And no matter what path you are on, we are glad that you are here to be a part of our path. And we welcome you, and we love you, and we miss you, and we wish that you were here in these seats. But alas, we cannot be right now, so you're watching me on video, and we welcome you. A few announcements today. First one is Unity was based on prayer. And being based on prayer, we here at Unity Spiritual Center believe wholeheartedly in prayer and the power of prayer. And so if you are in need of prayer, need for somebody to pray with you, or know that somebody's praying about you or for you, please let us know. Email myself or email the church, and we'll put it in our prayer request box and get those out to our prayer chaplains. And we want you to know that we are here for you. We are here for you in prayer. And so if you need that, please let us know. We've had several people throughout the past several months email us and let us know that they need that extra knowing that there are people praying with them and for them. And those prayers also go to Unity, to Silent Unity up in Kansas City, and they will be prayed on there for additional 30 days. So please know that there's always somebody. The light is always on, and somebody is always praying here at Unity for you and with you. Another thing is we have our noon Zoom. This is still going on. This is a very popular thing. Some people really, really are enjoying it, knowing and having that connection. We may not be able to be physically together, but we can be virtually together like we are now, and like we are on Wednesdays at noon. So please join us this Wednesday. If you're interested in joining us, please email me. Email at unitynick74@gmail.com, and I'll make sure to send out the link to you so that then you can join us and we can see your smiling face. In addition to this meeting, we also have one that we're starting on Tuesday. And this is a Tuesday evening Zoom. And so Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock, we're going to have another Zoom meeting. It's just going to be us getting together like we do on Wednesday, sitting and talking and sharing and seeing each other and just being part of that community that we may miss because you're not here in these seats. So please, if you're interested, email myself or the church. Email is unitynick74@gmail.com, and we will get you the link to those meetings. You can attend either one or both of them. It doesn't matter. I will be a part of both of them, and look forward to seeing your smiling faces. So let's take this into a time of prayer, since Unity was based on prayer. Listen to the words of our founder, Charles Fillmore. I am now in the presence of pure being, immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. I acknowledge thy presence and thy power, O blessed Spirit. In thy divine wisdom, now erase my mortal limitations, and from thy pure substance of love, bring into manifestation my world according to thy perfect law. Amen. Now we'll have a song by Howie.
Faith, I pray faith, I choose faith, I am faith, I have faith, I pray faith, I choose faith, I am faith, I have hope, I pray hope, I and I let go, I know all is well. When I trust and I let go, I know all is well.
Great song. New one. Is that a new one for us? Thank you. That's wonderful. So we'll go to today's daily word. Today's daily word, believe it or not, is togetherness, something that I think we all need. So it comes from today. The affirmation is, I share God's love, peace, and joy. While I treasure my times of quiet and solitude, I also look forward to enjoying the company of family, friends, and members of my faith community. Whether we're working, volunteering, praying, or simply enjoying one another's company, our shared experiences allow me to support people I care about and feel supported in return. I enjoy the value of togetherness throughout every season of my human journey. During times of trial, hardship, or grief, being in the company of friends and family helps comfort me and keep me strong. Likewise, during times of celebration, being in the company of others multiplies my joy. In times of togetherness, may the love, peace, comfort, and joy of God bless us all. And from Acts chapter 2, verse 44, all who believed were together and had all things in common. So let's take this thought of togetherness and having things in common and that power that we have of togetherness into a time of meditation. Close your eyes if you are comfortable and take a deep, relaxing, cleansing breath. Let go. Let go of all the stressors, all the things, all your thoughts. Just come to a blank slate. Feel as God's presence surrounds you. Feel that love and that presence surrounding you and enveloping you like a warm blanket on a cold evening. Feel that presence fill you up with an abundance of joy and laughter, and love and happiness. Feel that presence and know that presence that is always with you. Affirm that presence and connection that you have with God, with that oneness that we know is omnipotent, omnipresent. No matter where we go, that presence is with us, filling us with the joy and laughter that it is. Let go of any thoughts of unhappiness, unworthiness, of uncaring. Those thoughts are not your true self. Your true self is that presence and power of God within you. Presence and power of God that is within everyone, that makes us whole, makes us one with that love. Open yourself up to that flow of love and that flow of presence. Feel it within you. Feel it within you as your truth. In this silence, I want you to reflect on that positive flow that is within you. As you come out of that flow, feel that all things are working for your highest and most good. Feel that oneness with God. Feel refreshed, renewed, and rekindled to take on whatever your day brings. And so it is. Amen. So as you come back into your physical form from the meditation, we'd like to change now and shift gears and go into our tithes and offerings. As I spoke in the meditation, that flow, that divine flow that is within us and around us, it's just like our tithes and offerings. We know that when we give out, we also receive. And that's what tithes and offerings are. And as you give, you shall receive. And so if you'll join me with our blessing of the giving. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all the good that I am and have, and all the good I give and receive. Thank you, God. And so if you go to our webpage, unityspiritualcenterhouston.org, you can click on the ways to give at the top ribbon, and a donate button will drop down. When you click on that donate button, this page will open up. And when this page opens up, you can set a one-time or a recurring gift to give to us. And we appreciate that and know that we love you and miss you. We can't wait to have you back here in our seats and seeing your smiling faces again, because that is also a way of giving, that smile. It's the easiest way to give too. So as we close our time of tithes and offerings, we'll close with our dedication of the tithes. We dedicate these tithes and offerings to the will and work of Spirit for the highest good of all. Thank you, God. And we thank you. So today, I thought we'd talk a little bit about faith. And yes, I know George Michael sang about it in the late 90s or early 90s. Everybody's got to have faith. But I think I'd like to talk to you a little differently about faith. And I found this quote from Eric Butterworth, that you don't have faith in God, but you have faith from God. So I want to talk to you about having faith from God instead of having faith in God. Faith in God is directing your attention to something outside of yourself. You have to have faith in God. I believe in this. It's something outside of you. But faith from God begins from inside, from that basic premise that God lives within you, that you move in God, that you have your being in God. If you center yourself in that consciousness, then you believe from that consciousness. You're not believing from something out there that's going to affect you. You're believing from a consciousness which enables you to put yourself in tune with Spirit. Then we can talk about faith from God. Since God is the only presence, the one power and the one presence that is active in the universe and in our lives. In Hebrews chapter 11, we read, "Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen." Faith is the actual substance of things that are hoped for, and the evidence to your real self, to the existence of things that are not seen. We live in a universal ether, universal soup. In it we live and move and have our being, and it's formless, but it's pliable. It forms around us and in us, and according to our own thoughts, we set it into activity. When we think, and that which manifests to us objectively is what we have thought. Remember, thoughts in kind produce after their kind. This week I'm taking a class on self-awareness, and my classmate and I were discussing how I have been watching the news, and everything's sort of getting me down. I'm sort of getting low. And then I've been taking those news accounts and those things to heart. And he told me, he said, change the channel. Change the channel. And that's what I've been doing. Instead of screaming at the TV show, "No, you dummy, you can't, that's not right, that's wrong, you're lying, da da da." I get emotionally involved in this, and I'm sure you do too sometimes. Or you have, and maybe you've also learned to turn the channel. But I've learned to turn a channel. I'm now watching Little House on the Prairie, or MASH, or maybe an old talk show. Something to distract me from what's going on. Something that doesn't allow me to get so riled up and fired up. I'm learning to change the channel. Because when I change the channel, I'm changing my consciousness. I'm not allowing those thoughts that, "No, dummy, you can't say that, you're lying. No, that's not right." And when I get fired up, my energy starts to dwindle. But what we need to do is turn the channel and refocus our thoughts, refocus our attention, and positively affirm the omnipresence of God, the good, that God in good that's in our lives, that is a part of us, that is with us. And keep our minds filled with that eternal truth, with our truth of being not somebody who's yelling and screaming at somebody and having hurtful feelings towards other people, but experiencing that truth so that then your faith can absorb it, absorb that pure substance of spirit that you truly are, through which you alone have. Faith will work on 3 different planes of consciousness. First, on the lower plane, or the objective, you can bring a great deal to pass when you have faith. I had faith when I lost my job that I was going to find another one. It may have taken me a while, but it does happen for your highest good. Well, I want to have this kind of job and this kind of job. Well, maybe faith brings you to something else. On a spiritual plane, or on a mental plane, is a higher plane that you can bring much more about, and then also on a spiritual plane. A soul could be conscious with its union of God that rouses its own divinity, and it can bring anything to pass when you have that connection with that God within you. I want to make one thing clear, is that you can identify yourself so definitively with God that your conscious mind will union with God. And it will be possible for you. It will be possible, as Jesus said, to do all these things plus more. All things, great and small, can be done and shall be done by you, by us. We have no doubt when we have that faith. Remember, science. Everything in science was once faith. Well, we think we can do this, and we did. Just think back. I think back just 2 generations to my grandfather. My grandfather, who worked on the Apollo program, and sometimes my father sort of poo-poos that and says, oh, well, everybody worked in the Apollo program back then. But he worked in the Apollo program, and he studied how much liquid oxygen should mix with other stuff to make the rockets go up into space. And he did this all with a slide rule and his fingers and toes. He didn't do it with the computers and the power that we have today. Can you imagine that? Think of the temples, the Aztec temples in Mexico. Think of the pyramids in Egypt. The one that I love to think about are the heads on Easter Island. How did people build those things? They thought of it. They had faith, and they said, we can do this, and we can build them. Let's move off of the science, because this isn't a science lecture. So talk about faith and your connection to God, your connection to that divine presence that's within you and around you and through you. So how does faith work? Faith is basically the centering of your consciousness in God. Remember that divine that's within you. You are God manifesting as you. Remember, there's no more God in any person, any friend, or any mystic, more than there's God in you. God is no more centered in any great mind or any consciousness more than He's centered in your consciousness and in you. Of course, we can't stop denying that a person may express various levels of consciousness. When we think of somebody like the Buddha, or Lao Tzu, or Moses, or Jesus, or even some contemporary people, Ken Wapnick, Eckhart Tolle, Myrtle and Charles Fillmore, obviously we realize that there's a higher and greater difference in the developmental potential within them. They've developed their consciousnesses higher than you and me. But the difference is not in the God in them. It's not that God is more centered in them or there's more God or more power within them. No, they just have a higher connection and they are more centered in the God. Take a moment and let that sink in. God is no more centered in any mystic throughout time, and in fact, no more centered in anyone that you can think of more than He is in you. That is a powerful statement. When you center your attention on negative things, you set them in limitation. Then you focus on those limited things. Again, you're setting in limitation. But with God, there is no limitation. We know this. We know that there is no other power in the universe but God, so there is no limitation to that power. Remember, God is centered in you. Make that commitment to center yourself in your consciousness, in that God, in that divine spark within you. Not in a God that's out there, but the God that's within you, in your being. When you wish for more faith, oh, I wish I had more faith in that. You're coming from a point of lack. The power to do all these things doesn't come from a power of lack. It comes from a power of knowing that unlimited power of God that's within you, that's around you, that is your source. That is our source. You have that presence, and you have that power, and you've always had it. Just as Glinda the Good Witch in Wizard of Oz said to Dorothy, my dear, you've always had the power to go home. You've always had that power within you. It's when you attune and raise your consciousness to that level of faith that you can achieve it. I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you of the story that you may have heard or that you may believe in or you may have been brought up with. The story that you have to prove your worthiness to a God. That you have to prove your worthiness to some sort of power, to some sort of substance out there. Like a Santa God. A God doling out gifts and miracles and their wishes to different people. Oh, you've been a good boy, you prayed today. Or you've been a bad boy, you didn't pray today. Or you did this, or you do that. No. Reality, it doesn't make a difference to God, whether you believe or not, or whether you've been good or not. but it makes a lot of difference in the terms of what you believe in and how you believe, to what direction that faith is going to go. In other words, God's omnipresent force, that force and intelligence, it's sitting there to act. It wants to act. And it may not act according to your faith or your belief, but it must act. It can't keep itself. When you create conditions that make the results inevitable. Just like when I was a child, you turn on a light switch. That light switch, that power, that law of electricity doesn't matter when you make that connection. Whether or not the lights turn on or not. If there's a connection, it's going to make it. Just like when I was a child and I was upstairs playing around with a 6-volt battery that I had with 2 wires connected to it. My parents were downstairs having a nice dinner party with their friends. And I wanted to see what the electricity would do if I stuck those wires in the outlet. Well, I did it, and the power went out in the whole house, thank God. Thank God that was the only thing that happened, was the power went out. And, well, yeah, I got yelled at, what did you do? But the breaker flipped like it was supposed to. We didn't have a fire like we could have. But the law didn't matter that my parents were having a dinner party downstairs. The law of things, if you stick 2 wires connected to a battery and outlet, you're going to cause a circuit breaker to flip, or worse, cause a fire. It's the same with God. That law of God that He has with you, it has nothing to do with whether God is in the right mood or not. Because God has only one mood, and that is to be totally and completely expressed in your presence and as your presence. I've heard people complain lately about this and that. I'm miserable. I can't do this. I can't go to the store without wearing a mask. I don't feel comfortable wearing a mask. This time we live in is just the worst. We've got the racial riots going on. We've got the coronavirus going on. We've got things, history changing, this going on. No sports. I don't have an outlet. I can't go see my friends. I can't go to the gym. Just being generally negative. But when you have those problems, you need to stop and think. And you need to stop thinking about those problems. As Emmett Fox says, you must stop thinking of the trouble wherever it is. The rule is to think about God. If you're thinking about your difficulty, you're not thinking about God. To be continually glancing over your shoulder in order to see how matters are progressing is fatal. Is that catching up to me? Because it is thinking of the trouble, and you must think of God and nothing else. Your object is to drive the thought of the difficulty out of your consciousness. For a few moments at least, substituting it for the thought of God. Thinking of God instead of the problem, thinking of God, thinking of that love, of that compassion, of that wisdom that we have within us, instead of, is it going to hurt me? Is it going to catch up to me? When you center your attention and focus your consciousness upon the positive, there's a tremendous power, faith-thinking power, which flows through and enables you to do creative things. When you pray for health, faith doesn't make an incurable condition well. Your faith has already been involved in the condition. Unconsciously and unwittingly, you are believing in the negative condition, and therefore it is becoming real to you. Faith simply turns it from a focus on the negative appearance to at least centering of attention on the present of God around you. Just as Jesus said, judge not according to appearances, but judge righteous judgment. So we're not trying to change things, we're trying to refocus our attention from one thing to another. What we're basically trying is to allow the truth to be expressed, to be experienced at the level of consciousness. You are more than you appear to be always. So faith is simply relating to the more. That's all. It's relating to that more that you are. Understanding there's always a tremendous potential to do things do things that you may not think about. Think about a friend who you haven't talked to in a long time. You just thought about them, and boom, they call you out of the blue, or maybe you get an email out of the blue, or maybe some private message on Facebook or something. What is that about? Do you have some sort of connection? I've had that a ton of times with my friends where, oh, I was just thinking about you. I was just thinking about that experience. Maybe they'll post a picture or make a comment about it. It's that connection, that vibration that we feel when we go higher into our consciousness. That faith frees up. It frees up for that communication process. It opens the way for us to allow the functioning at the highest possible level that we can attain, to function as a spiritual being. It is important to know that we always have this potential, that it is always there, and it is always present when we open up the communication process through a quickening of our awareness and faith. It's not some magic and impossibility, but faith in moving to the highest level of vibration so we can begin to experience those wonderful things where we can live with a license of pure higher beings. Remember, right where you are, right now, there is a resource of wisdom and substance. Right where you are is a resource of supply, of creativity, of ability, of tremendous ways through which you can do great things. To fulfill your uniqueness that is you, that is your truth, that is a part of God manifesting as you. Remember, we come from a place of faith in God. From that truth that resides in you. God is centered in you always. The question is, what is your consciousness centered in? If your thought is centered in an ego world, if it's centered in difficulties, if it's centered in the news of the day, if it's centered in the idea, oh my, why is this happening to me? This is going to dam up and prevent that flow of life that we are always within, that presence that we are always within. God is centered in you, and that kingdom of potentiality is already within you, and faith is the key to that kingdom. I want to end today with a prayer that I found, a prayer of faith. I'm sure some of you already know this one, by Hannah More Klaus. Because there are some Unity churches that use this instead of the prayer for protection. So if you close your eyes for just a moment. Prayer of faith. God is my help in every need. God does my every hunger feed. God walks beside me, guides my way through every moment of this day. I now am wise, I now am true, patient and kind and loving too. All things I am, can do, and be through Christ the truth that is in me. God is my health, I can't be sick. God is my strength, unfailing, quick. God is my all, I know no fear, since God and love and truth are here. Amen. Thank you all. We'll now close in our usual way by singing our peace song and our prayer for protection.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let me walk with take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. The light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Yea, God.